Okay, in this clip I'm going to take you through the first 40 marks of the WJEC Intermediate Paper 2 from June 2018. So the first 40 marks, what I'm implying is if you're successful in getting all of this part of the paper right, then you are nailed on for a grade C and pushing in the second half of the paper towards grade B. Okay, question one, a little bit of algebra to get us going. So in order to solve that, we need to get the x on its own. To get the x on its own, I have to get rid of, undo the divide by 4. To undo a divide by 4, I have to multiply by 4. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side as well. So by multiplying that side by 4, gives me x on its own. Multiplying that side by 4, 7 4s are 28. With part B, it's a simplified, so we're not going to get an answer for this. It's not going to be something equals. We're just going to tidy it up a bit. And what we do is we group together the terms with the same letters, the same coefficients. And there are three parts to it. There's the letter, the magnitude, the size of it, and the sign, which tells you whether it's positive or negative. The only place you usually get one of the signs missing is the first term, where if it's positive, it's not written in. So if it helps you, we can add that plus there, and then we have another one there. So we have a plus 3f, and we're adding another f, so that gives us 4f. And then we've got a plus 7g, and we're subtracting 4. We're moving down the number line 4 spaces from plus 7, so we end up at plus 3g. Use the formula 5p plus 2q equals t to find the value of q when p equals 4 and t equals 24.6. So that's a line of algebra. When we replace the letters with numbers, it becomes a line of arithmetic, and then we need to put in the multiplication that exists between the 5 and the p that we don't write in when we're in algebra. So it's going to be 5 times 4 plus 2, we don't know what q is, equals 24.6. I can work out what 5 4s are. Now I'm going to take 20 off each side, leaving me 2q equals 4.6. Now to get the q on its own, I have to divide by 2 both sides, leaving me q is 2.3. Question 2 is all about rotational symmetry. So remember, in the exam you're allowed to have tracing paper, and tracing paper is something that helps when it comes to rotational symmetry and transformations or rotations of any type. So part A, the square drawn below has rotational symmetry of order 4. What that means is if we turn that, it'll look identical after a quarter of a turn, it'll look identical after a half a turn, 3/4 of a turn, and back to the start. So it looks identical in 4 positions around a 360-degree turn. Now we want to change that so that it's got order 2. So if I put a dot on the square so that there's rotational 2 identical dots, so if I put one there and one there, or I could have put one there and one there. If I turn that quarter of a turn now, it doesn't look the same as it did at the start because it had dots there and there. But when I turn it there, it does. So now it only looks the same in 2 positions. So I want to put a dot there and a dot there, or there and there. So similarly for this one, in order for it to go from an order 6 to order 3, what I want to do and it's 3 dots. So if I go 1, 2, 3, it won't look the same now in that position, but it will look the same in that position and that position. So there, there, and there would do it, or there, there, and there. Which of the following shapes has rotational symmetry of order 3 but has no line symmetry? So line symmetry would be where you put a mirror and it would reflect. So with this one, it would reflect where my pen is, or there, or there. So that has no line symmetry. Sorry, that has got line symmetry. This one hasn't, because when you fold it over, that arrow would be pointing in an opposite direction to that one. So that's possible. That one has got line symmetry. This one hasn't got line symmetry. This one has got line symmetry. So after looking at just the reflection symmetry, the line symmetry, I'm down to a choice of 2. So again here, you could go back to your tracing paper and work out which one it is, or you can see that when I turn that one, that arrow will overlap that one, whereas with this one, that arrow won't overlap because it'll be pointing upwards. So the one that's got rotational symmetry and line symmetry is that one. Question 3. A travel company offers the following holiday options. So summer or winter, cottage or hotel, travelling by train, bus or car. List all the possible different combinations of holiday options that the company offers. One has been done for you. So what you do with a question like this is try to be systematic. So you keep 2 things the same and change the other. So first of all, what are the other transport combinations travelling in summer and going to a cottage? Could be a train or a bus, or it could be a car. So summer, cottage train, summer cottage bus, summer cottage car. We could stay in the summer, or we could change to a hotel. Train, hotel bus, hotel car. So there's 3 of those possibilities. Or we could travel winter cottage train, winter cottage bus, winter cottage car, or winter hotel train, winter hotel bus, winter hotel car. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 possible combinations available to us. A holiday is chosen at random from all the different combinations on offer. P is the probability that the chosen holiday is a summer holiday, staying in a cottage and travelling by train. So summer, cottage, train. So summer cottage train is the first one. So that's a probability of 1 out of 12. Mark the point P on the probability scale shown below. Well, that would be a half. That would be 3/4. That would be 1/4. So I need to work out where 1/12 is going to be. Now it's pretty unlikely it's going to be in here, but remember this is a calculator allowed paper, so use your calculator. If we work out what 1/12 is as a decimal, SD button remember, 0.083. So that's 0.2. So 0.1 is going to be around there. It's going to be pretty unlikely. You're looking in that sort of area there. It doesn't have to be super accurate, but it certainly has to be closer to 0 than any of those markers. Question 4. Which of the following fractions is nearest to a quarter? I would go for the same thing again here. I would turn them all into decimal to make the comparison easier. So a quarter, I know, is 0.25. Now it's saying you must show all your working. That doesn't mean you have to use a non-calculated method for turning a quarter into a decimal. 1/5 you might know is 0.2, but in case you don't, on your calculator, 1/5 equals, turn it to a decimal, 0.2. Now because that's the 2 decimal places, it makes sense to put that one to 2 decimal places as well. 7/25, 0.28, and 13/50, again, is probably one you could do in your head, 0.26. And we want which one is closest to 0.25. So if you think of that, pence in pounds, that's 25 pence, 20 pence, 28 pence, 26 pence. Which one's closest to 25 pence? 26 pence. And the question is saying which of the fractions, so we don't write it as 0.26, we write it in the format that's given. Number 5. Calculate both the area and the perimeter of a rectangle 6 centimeters long and 4.5 centimeters wide. So it's 6 centimeters, 4.5 centimeters, which means the other sides are also that. So the perimeter is the complete distance around the shape. So 4.5 plus 6 plus 4.5 plus 6, which is 10.5 doubled, which is 21. You must give the correct units for each of your answers. The units of perimeter, it's a distance, so it's just the length unit, centimeters. The area is length times width. So we're going to do 6 times 4.5 is 27. And the units of area, we're multiplying centimeters by centimeters to give us centimeters squared. So you could write them there, or you could transfer them down. It doesn't matter, so long as it's clear where they are. Question 6. Now this is probably the weirdest question on the whole paper. So it's testing your algebra skills and your angle property skills. Circle a correct equation for each of the following. All the lines shown are straight lines. So this first one, first thing we have to do to find C is work out what the angle is, the missing angle inside the triangle. To work out what that is, we have to do 180, and then from it we need to take angle A, and from it we need to take angle B. That would give us that angle. Then to work out C, we have a straight line, so to work out C we've got to do 180, take away that angle, which is 180, take A, take B. When we get rid of that bracket, what we've got outside it really is -1 times it, so that when we get rid of the bracket we get 1 times 180 is 180, but the signs, minus times a minus, signs different, the answer is negative. And then these ones become plus A plus B. So the 180 take away 180 go, and we end up with A plus B, which is this one. Now that's not an easy question for an intermediate tier. Part B. A plus C, so those two are opposite, so they're the same, plus S plus Q equals 360. So that one plus that one plus that one plus that one must add up to 360. Well, that one is the same as that one, so if that's D and S are the same, so that's the same as that, and Q and B are the same. So it is true that those four add up to 360, and because of the equality of them, that is true. P and A add up to 180 isn't true. P and D add up to 180. C equals Q is not true. Again, they add up to 180. D equals R is clearly not true. That's obtuse, that's acute. And P plus Q plus D plus C, again, they won't add up to 180. Those two add up to 180, and those add up to 180 separately. And the final one, we've got external angles of a pentagon. External angles of any polygon add up to 360. So I'm looking for the one where A plus B, C plus D plus E adds up to 360, which is that one. As I said, that's quite an unusual way of testing your angle property skills there. Question 7. Calculate the mean of these 4 time periods. You must give your answer in hours and minutes. Those of you that watch lots of my videos know that I bang on a lot about the time button on your calculator. If you can use the time button on your calculator, this is such an easy 4 marks. So the time button is the one that looks like a punctuation button where it's got commas and full stops. So the way that you would type this in to your calculator is 4 hours 20 minutes. Okay, so we type that in as 5 hours 20 minutes plus 2 hours 44 minutes plus 6 hours 18 minutes plus 4 hours 34 minutes. So you have to remember you're pressing that button twice, once after the hours, once after the minutes. So that's equal to 18 hours 56 minutes, which for the mean we're going to now divide by 4. So on your calculator, just divide by 4 equals 4 hours 44 minutes. So 4:44. It's so easy using a calculator. Much more difficult without a calculator. Or without using the time button, even using a calculator. Question 8. Volume. So this is the QWC question. This is the one where you need to be clear in your units and clear in the way that you lay out your work and explaining what you're doing. Doesn't mean write a story. Cube A and cube B are shown below. Express the volume of B as a percentage of the volume of A. So the volume of A, you need to know for a cuboid, volume is length times width times height. So 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. And remember, consistent with the units for volume, you're multiplying the centimetres by itself 3 times, which is cubed. Then the volume of B. 4 times 4 times 5, 80 centimeters cubed. Now to write the percentage of one as another, and I'm trying to be clear in what I'm doing, percentage of B volume of B as a percent of A is going to be B out of A, and to turn it into a percentage you times it by 100. So that means we've got 80 out of 125 times 100. On your calculator you can type that in exactly as you see it. So fraction 80 over 125 times 100, 64. And this isn't a centimeters cubed now because we've turned it into a percent. So the volume of that is 64% of the volume of that. Each line is clearly laid out what I've done. The units are consistent. That's it. You don't need to write stories. Question 9. The diagram below shows an equilateral triangle ABC with AB being 4x minus 7 centimeters. The perimeter of the triangle is 27 centimeters. Calculate the value of x. So the trigger here is that it's an equilateral triangle. You need to recognize that that means that if that side is 4x minus 7, the other two sides are also the same, because in an equilateral triangle all sides are equal. So to work out the perimeter of that, we got this plus this plus this. So that's 4x and 4x and 4x is 12x. Take 7, take another 7, takes you down to negative 14, take another 7, negative 21. So when you add those together, that plus that plus that equals 27. It's just an equation to solve now. We want to get the 12x on its own, so we're going to add 21 to both sides. Leaves us 12x on the left hand side and 48 on the right hand side. Now to get the x on its own, we're going to divide by 12. 48 divided by 12 is 4. Calculate the value of x. X is 4. So that's question 9. So the final question to get you those first 40 marks is a probability question. The box contains many discs identical in shape and size. A picture of one of 4 Welsh castles is printed on each disc. Disc is chosen at random from the box. Complete the table below to find the probability of choosing a disc showing Dynevor Castle. So that's the only missing probability, which means that they all have to add up to 1. So to work out what that one is, if I subtract the rest from 1, so 1 less 0.36 less 0.12 less 0.24 is 0.28. So that's 2 marks there. If you want to be sure that you're going to earn method marks if you press the wrong button on your calculator, then you would write this in. And you got your method mark. In the box there were 522 discs showing a picture of Carnarvon Castle. How many discs showed a picture of Harlech Castle? So we need to work out first of all what the total number of discs are. So 0.36 times the total equals 522, because that's what you would do if you wanted to work out how many Carnarvon castles there were and you knew how many discs there were altogether, which it doesn't tell you. You would do 0.36 times that total. So to work out the total, you do the opposite now, times it by 0.36. Which is that. So you do 522 divided by 0.36. So in total there are 1450 discs, 1450 discs. So to work out Harlech, you would now want to do 0.12 of the total, which is that 0.12 times 1450. So there'll be 174 discs with Harlech on. Now you need to read that question carefully. I suspect the most common wrong answer for that would be, you see the 522 and you work out 0.12 times 522. That would probably earn you 1 mark. Probably, obviously this mark scheme mark scheme hasn't been published yet when I'm working through this paper. I suspect there'd be a mark if you had done 0.12 times 522 and got that answer, but then think, oh hang on, that should be a whole number. So in those first 40 marks, there's 2 there that lots of people would have dropped, and there would have been another 3 there. So there's 5 marks there which lots of people would have dropped. So 35 out of 40 should be still good enough for a C, but we probably want to go into that second half of the paper and pick up some more marks, which I'll do in another